there, I'm Patrick Donegan, I'm with Heavy Reading, and I'm here at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona with Rob Marsden from Nakina Systems. Hi Rob.
Hi Patrick, thank you for joining us.
And we're here to talk about network security issues in the SDN and NFV era, and especially about identity management and network configuration issues. Now we know from our own Heavy Reading research that when network operators look at NFV and SDN, they see both risk and opportunity. They see opportunity from the perspective of being able to implement security policy throughout the network, in terms of the opportunity to do cost reduction, and in terms of the opportunity to do security per service or application. And that's all very exciting. At the same time, they also see significant risk. If you look at the visibility that a hypervisor has or that an SDN controller has, it's fantastic in terms of what it can do from a security perspective, but actually when you have devices that are that omniscient, that all-seeing, actually there's also a security risk that goes with that as well. If you want to open up your network via open APIs to your customers, again, fantastic opportunity, but you'd better do that securely, otherwise you're going to have a security problem involved there as well. So what I'm here to talk about with Rob today is the nature of those opportunities and risks and how operators can take advantage of the opportunities whilst also mitigating the risks as well going forward. Right, so Rob, some questions for you. We know that some threats are malicious. They come from outside of the operator environment. We know some threats are actually benign and they come from the inside the operator environment, and we know that there's various permutations of that. What do you see as the mix in terms of where those threats come from? Yeah,
so I mean, it's a very interesting topic. What we find very interesting is that when you look at the root cause of most security breaches, 70% of them are often traced back to some sort of insider misuse.
Right.
And 65% of those are typically exploiting some network misconfiguration or vulnerability that's been introduced. Now, the vast majority of those situations are often the result of inadvertent misuse. A well-intentioned insider with incorrect or elevated privileges are accessing and changing network assets, resources, and configurations. Only a small percentage today are typically fraud-related or malicious. What is interesting is that we're seeing more and more examples where insiders are being targeted by outside hackers and threats. And that's simply because the insiders hold the keys to the kingdom, typically. They have the credentials and the privileges to access the applications, the data, as well as the keys to the network. And so we're seeing targeted attacks against some of these insiders. So in addition, these types of attacks, either initiated by or through insiders, are typically the most difficult to detect. So those threats remain undetected in the network for long periods of time, hundreds of days. And during that time, hackers have the ability to move laterally through the organization, exploiting further vulnerabilities and exfiltrating more and more data and compromising the security integrity of the network.
So within the telecom operator environment, we're used to thinking of the telco guys managing the telecom network and the IT guys managing the IT network. And what we're hearing is that the way to go is convergence, and we're seeing some evidence of that on the part of some operators. What do you see as the overall trends? How real is that convergence between the telco and IT environments in many of the customers you're working with?
So that trend is very real, and we see it amongst our customers. And every customer is at a different level or a different stage of evolution and transformation. In the past, the telecom network was often shielded from a lot of these security threats because it was a closed network built on proprietary systems and hardware and protocols. But that's all changing with NFV and SDN and this movement towards commercial and off-the-shelf software-defined products. So what we are witnessing is this, the dissolving boundaries between what was IT and what is network. It's all becoming IT. And service providers are looking for a common set of tools and business processes and practices that allow them to harmonize how they apply and manage security policies across that environment. But what's critical to remember is that the service provider network is heterogeneous. It's highly complex, it's highly distributed. involves multiple technologies from multiple vendors, physical and virtual. Consistently, we're finding that a service provider has often tenfold the number of identities that they're managing as they do employees or insiders. So you see that there's a real challenge in terms of how do you automate identity access management, and how do you monitor and control the application of security policies and enforce what these insiders are able to do. And as you pointed out, as the service providers start to open their networks, they're being accessed by more and more third parties, as well as more and more automated systems. SDN controllers reprogramming the networks, third parties, business partners that are accessing the resources within the service provider space. So it's becoming a very complex and dynamic environment to manage.
So another question that every vendor wants to have asked of them, I can't remember the last vendor that I spoke to that didn't want to have this question asked, right. The monetization story. Every vendor wants to have a monetization story. What's yours?
Security is often considered an inhibitor of rolling out new services and generating value. But that's also changing with SDN and NFV, and what we're seeing is managed security services as one of the key use cases and business drivers for a lot of the initial NFV-related business cases. And that's creating a whole new set of opportunities for service providers, and some of which you referred to in the introduction. We also see a new set of opportunities for service providers to monetize managed security services as it pertains to identity access and configuration management. Being able to add managed identity services as well as compliance, assurance, and reporting as part of a managed suite to enterprises, especially for those enterprises who are starting to move more and more of their critical applications into clouds, is obviously one key area that we see. The monetization of the analytics and the reporting is crucial for many key verticals, from banking to healthcare to critical infrastructure. And another key area is around the whole topic of Internet of Things. And a lot of these initial IoT networks are going to be very much vertical specific, right? And so when you look at deploying a IoT network for critical infrastructure, being able to ensure that network is secured, the right access policies are applied, being able to prove that through automated assurance and value-added analytics that could be provided back to the end customer is again another area of monetization.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on the acquisition, and lovely to have you with us today. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Pat.